That looks like it is the stride of a man ready to get down to business. Tyrese Maxey reporting for duty at the center tonight. Danny Green Dundee, or maybe something like that. I have a hat very similar to the one that Danny Green is sporting tonight as he makes his walk into the building. Yes, Ben Simmons, always sharp. Air Jordan 11s, good look for the All-Star, who has sparked the 76ers to an undefeated record since his return as the Sixers return on a City Edition night to the center. The Sixers undefeated with Ben Simmons back in the lineup as the squad looks to run its current winning streak to an Eastern Conference best, 7th in a row. Taking a peek at some pregame warm-ups tonight as the 76ers get set to host the Zion Williamson-less New Orleans Pelicans. Welcome into 7-6 Live Countdown presented by Tissot. I'm Brian Seltzer. Hello, Lauren Rosen. Hello, center.
What is going on, Celts? Great, as always, to be back in the center. You can tell the guys are happy to be home after a very successful road trip. Of course, it had its ups and downs in game, but they still came out of it undefeated on the road. This is the team with the best road record in the East and, of course, the best record in the East. They've made some major inroads in that category, Celts.
Yes, the 76ers holding the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference right now. Their margin increasing over the Brooklyn Nets as a result of Brooklyn's loss to the Dallas Mavericks last night. The 76ers 3 games in front still of the Milwaukee Bucks. So the Sixers right now in a very solid spot. They have 6 games to play. Magic number is 4. So the team looking very, very strong as far as that number 1 seed line is concerned.
Yeah, and when you look at the standings, that 1 seed may be more important than ever when you consider the fact that the top 3 seeds are really the key competitors in this race. Taking that 1 seed means that you don't have to face Brooklyn and Milwaukee. You could face Brooklyn or Milwaukee. If the Sixers can hold on to this 1 seed, they could be in pretty good shape heading into what promises to be an exciting playoff run.
76ers 45-21 on the season. The Pelicans entered tonight 30-36. As we mentioned just a few moments ago, they are going to be without Zion Williamson tonight. He fractured his left ring finger. Disappointing development, obviously, for the Pelicans, who come into tonight's game just on the outside of that 10th spot in the Western Conference. And also for New Orleans, Lauren, no Steven Adams, who's been a big foil to Joel Embiid over the course of his career, or Brandon Ingram. So arguably the top 3 front court players for the Pelicans not going to be available tonight.
Yeah, best, of course, to Zion Williamson. You never want to hear that a player is dealing with an injury, especially this late in the season, especially for a team, like you said, that could have competed for that play-in tournament. Tough to see, but of course, potentially an opportunity yet again for the Sixers to capitalize on an undermanned opponent. As Doc Rivers said, the Sixers have played plenty of times undermanned, so now to capitalize on the opponent having a similar situation is not a crime.
It definitely feels like it's been one of those what goes around comes around type of seasons in the NBA. And I think in and of itself, the fact, Lauren, that the Sixers are winning games right now is good for their confidence, their momentum going into the postseason. But with the exception of the overtime game at San Antonio last weekend, the Sixers won by 2 points. The Sixers have been crushing teams during this 6-game winning streak, as they should, but they have not taken their foot off the pedal. They've outscored teams by 131 points, better than 20 per game during the current win streak.
Well, in those games at home, they had that 97-point differential over the teams that they beat. Of course, a best for the franchise, 97 points in 3 games. They've never been better. And then, of course, even when you look at those first 2 games on the road in San Antonio and in Chicago, they managed to get out to some pretty big leads there. Of course, ended up having to defend those leads late, but still proving that they can pack a pretty heavy punch against opponents at home and on the road.
For a couple of games, Lauren, it felt like we were talking about Joel Embiid in the context of someone who is playmaking for his teammates. And I don't think you can ever really say that Joel Embiid takes a back seat when he's out there playing in games, but he wasn't putting up the gargantuan numbers that we saw him do for the first, let's say, 3 quarters of the season. But then against the Houston Rockets on Wednesday night in the 76ers 20-point win, here comes Joel, 34 and 12, and he played under 25 minutes. Insane.
Really good to see that he's able to still get it done on a nightly basis. But of course, like you said, Selt's not playing more than 25 minutes. Joel actually kind of sees as a negative. He wants the opportunity to play heavy minutes against strong competition. He believes that'll help him prepare for the playoffs. But of course, a win is a win, and better to take that 1 seed and get a little bit of rest. At least if you're a Sixers fan, I think that's where a lot of people lie. Good to see Joel not having to play that many minutes, but of course, would be great to see him fully ready for those playoffs. Look for him to continue to have a big impact down the stretch in this one. And Seltz, I don't know about you, but I feel like no matter how many minutes he plays in these final few games, he's going to be ready when the playoffs come around.
He did not make life easy on Kelly Olynyk or the rest of the Houston Rockets. We also saw him diming out Seth Curry as well. And look at these passes that Joel Embiid can make when you have a threat like Danny Green in the corner. I honestly, Lauren, in situations like that, all right, Danny Green misses one. Rare these days when he's stationed in the corner open, but just seeing Joel load up like that, how he can pick his spots, look at that, finding Tobias Harris, that is definitely one of the biggest improvements in Joel Embiid's game this season.
And it's an area that he has really put emphasis on. So, of course, good to see that he is seeing the rewards of all the hard work that he's put in.
Joel Embiid with the nice little touch there. Afterwards, he talked about the point that Lauren brought up, the fact that he's not playing heavy minutes right now, despite some impressive output and numbers that he was able to create against the Houston Rockets.
I mean, I think it's good and it's not because I want to play as much as I can just to make sure that I'm ready for the load in the playoffs. When we get there, I'm gonna have to play 36, 38 minutes a game. So I just want to make sure that I'm also ready. So when we have games like that, and especially the last 5 games where I haven't played 3-4 quarters, so I gotta, when we get back, I gotta do my own conditioning. But like I said, it's great, but sometimes it's also not good.
I like hearing Joel Embiid say that he wants to take on a bigger challenge heading into the playoffs. But I do think, and this isn't to dismiss conditioning or anything like that, because that's also been a huge part of Joel's success this season. He has shown, Lauren, that given the circumstances, he is able to respond, whether it's in a big game, whether it's missing time for about 10 days and coming back. It usually does not take Joel too long to ramp up.
Not at all. He has come back, like you said, missed those games, but came back in a big way, looking just as well as he looked prior to his absence. And the only thing I'd add, Seltz, is the area that he's really been focused on, at least focused on publicly when he speaks to media over the last few games, is making sure he's getting his teammates involved as best he can, making sure that they have every opportunity that he can give them. I love the focus that he's putting on chemistry and on making sure that his teammates are happy, because as he says, he cannot win without them, and he loves to win with them.
Up and down this entire roster, we have seen great balanced performances, as you would expect when a team has things going well like the Sixers have. During the 6-game road trip, the bench unit has been very, very productive. More often than not, they had back-to-back 60-point games against the Atlanta Hawks last week when the Sixers were at home, and they combined for 56 points against the Houston Rockets on Wednesday, led by Shake Milton, Tyrese Maxey, and Dwight Howard. The bench unit, Lauren, I think I am really excited and intrigued to see just how much of the good we've seen from the bench as of late will translate to the playoffs.
You mentioned Maxey, Milton, Howard, but I'd add that George Hill's addition has been quite seamless to that second unit. He brings a defensive edge that, of course, is matched by Matisse Thybulle also in that unit. So that unit's got a lot of weapons. Really good to see them rounding into form as the playoffs come closer. For those asking in the comments, another notable member of that second unit, Furkan Korkmaz, remains out tonight with that ankle sprain. But prior to that injury and prior to the injury, prior to that injury, Furkan has looked excellent this season as well. So hopefully, of course, he is available and strong for the playoffs, because he's been a key member of this group as well.
Love seeing Tyrese Maxey create like that. Also love, Lauren, seeing him knock down a couple threes. He once again had a 2-for-4 night from outside the arc against the Rockets on Wednesday. And I think it's nice to see Tyrese knocking down those shots. It's obviously an area that a lot of the fans are focused on.
Absolutely. Good to see him grow confidence from beyond. I know we're going to hear from him in just a couple seconds, but good to know that his teammates are behind him. They're egging him on. They want him to be his best and to play confidently. And when you're on a team with this many all-stars and future Hall of Famers even, to have that type of confidence in your rookie and for the rookie to feel it is so important. And it's been great to see Tyrese thrive over time.
Maxey, not just 12 points on 4-for-9 shooting, 2-for-4 from outside the arc and 2-for-2 from the line. Also 4 rebounds and 7 assists against Houston. On Wednesday night, he played 22 minutes and talked to the media afterwards.
Like I said a couple of weeks ago, however many days ago that was, I don't remember now, but we have the best bench in the league, and I think it's by far. You got to think about how many different backgrounds we have. Seth Curry was in the D League or G League early. Now he's here where he is now, being successful. You have guys like Danny Green, who got cut from the Cavaliers or whatever team he was telling me from, and now he's 3-time champion. Then you got Dwight, #1 pick, 1-time champion. Superstars like Ben and Joe. And then you have George Hill, who's been to the conference finals, I think maybe 3 or 4 times. So the list just goes on and on. So, the vets are doing a great job of, helping us get prepared and, staying ready for this moment.
Speaking of the bench, negligence on this end. Didn't even mention Matisse Thybulle.
Yes, indeed. Matisse Thybulle has been a huge part of this bench unit, coming off the bench first in the last couple of games and making an impact right away. That was something we noticed early in his career, Seltz, last season. The punch that he brought off the bench was huge for that team. He brings a lot of energy now to this team, and he's been wonderful lately, really doing some unique stuff and making a pretty strong case for an all-defensive team in just his second NBA season.
Number 2 in the NBA, the entire league in steals with 100, tied with Jimmy Butler for second. Only TJ McConnell has more with 116 while playing nearly 400 more minutes. It is always wonderful when the team is at the center that we have our guys, Archie and Christian Crosby, along with the rest of Sixers ENT in the house. Let us kick it to those fellas.
All right, so 76 Live Countdown presented by Tissot, the official watch of the NBA and your Philadelphia 76ers. I'm your main man, Archie. And this guy sitting next to me is none other than Christian Crosby. What's going on, Christian? Hold on 1 second, Christian. Let me see something. I can't hear you, my man. We gotta fix that. Let's do that.
How about that? How's that sound?
There you go, my
Is
man.
that
You
good?
back.
Archie, you know what? You're a gentleman and a scholar.
Always.
I was just talking about how I was excited about Sixers basketball tonight.
Yes.
And how the Sixers in Squad 7-6 is killing it. We want to remind you guys, download the 76ers app. You can get wallpapers, video, photos, and so much more. And you can tune into the best podcast with Brian and Lauren. You know what else you can do, Archie? What else can we do on the app?
Well, on the app is where you can redeem your Wendy's Frosty Freeze Out. That's right. Wendy's Frosty Freeze Out is back in the second half of the game. Anytime those New Orleans Pelicans shoot 2 free throws and miss it, we're going home with a free Frosty. Then we get a free small fry and then a medium Frosty and a medium fry. Christian got me over here cracking up. We having a good time up here right now.
Well, listen, to keep the tradition going, we got to toss it over to the Sixers. Are y'all ready? Sixers, give us some energy. Here we go. the Sixers. So much more energy to come tonight. Archie, take us out of here.
We having a good time tonight. Y'all sit back, relax, grab your snacks. Check us out on NBC Sports Philly Plus. And in the meantime, in between time, as always, let's go Sixers!
Archie can add audio technician to his resume. There's nothing that Archie can't do. Also, an author of children's books.
Yes, indeed. We have some talented folks as part of Sixers ENT. So happy to have them as a part of this one. And thanks, Archie, for that assist. Talented as ever.
Speaking of talent, you cannot deny Seth Curry right now has got it going on. He is shooting from outside the arc, so crucial to what the 76ers do. And I've just been really happy for the guys. First year with the team, so that's a different situation. You're playing for your father-in-law. That's a different situation. And then he obviously tested positive for COVID and was working through that for, I think we'll all look back and say, a good chunk of this season. He now seems to have found his stride.
Yeah, really great to hear that he's starting to feel more like himself. He's feeling comfortable. He's shooting 57% from three over the last 10 games, which is a crazy number. And I asked him about it this morning.
Hey, Seth, I'm sure you know this already, but over the last 10 games, you've shot 57% from three. How is your confidence feeling right now when you're shooting at that level? And what does it mean for you moving forward into this final stretch?
I feel good. I always say it's about the quality of shots. For me, if I get good shots, then I'm going to make a high percentage of them, and I'll be playing good offense as a team. So that's just a product of that. And I feel like my body's in pretty good shape right now.
Joel said after Wednesday's game that he's really confident about the chemistry of your starting unit. He says he's really been making an effort to make sure that you guys get good looks. How are you feeling about the chemistry of your starting unit that's played so well all season long?
Yeah, I mean, when we've all been out there, we've been good all year, pretty much from the start of the season to now. When we've had all our pieces out there together, we've played well as a team, and it just shows that we really fit together and our games complement each other. So it's been going well, and hopefully the guys can stay healthy and we can keep clicking on all cylinders heading into the playoffs.
Last one for me, Seth, and this one zooms out a little bit. When you think about this final run down the stretch and starting the playoffs with this group, what are you most looking forward to?
Just the competition, everything. I mean, throughout the season, it's been up and down with guys in and out of the lineup. And that's our team and other teams around the league. So hopefully down the stretch, everybody can get healthy, head into the playoffs, and everybody can compete at a high level. I mean, that's the best thing about the playoffs is everybody's leaving it all out on the floor, and it's high-intensity games, and it's a lot of fun. So hopefully, like I said, everybody's healthy, and we can everybody can be tested and get their best shot. So it's been a weird year. You don't really know what teams are what just because of health-wise and who's been in and out of lineups. But it's the end of the year is all about competition and seeing who matches up well with who.
Seth Curry, thanks so much.
Really appreciated Seth's candor on that one, talking about the fact that it's been a weird and challenging season for everybody, Sixers and opponents alike. Doc Rivers mentioned just before the game that it's going to be an interesting preparation process. Should the Sixers hold down this one seed, they're not exactly sure who they'll even face in the playoffs and what those teams will look like compared to how they've played them earlier in the season. I am really looking forward to seeing how the play-in tournament shakes out, but of course, makes for a little bit of a challenging scout for this coaching staff. Great to hear, though, that Seth is so looking forward to his first playoff run as a Sixer.
Speaking of things that we don't know how they're going to end up or resolve themselves, how about the Sixers Youth Foundation sneaker auction going on right now? It started yesterday. It ends tomorrow night at the final buzzer of the game the 76ers have, completing this back-to-back. I'm scanning through on right now. Ben Simmons, Air Zoom, NXTs up to 2,600. I believe Joel Embiid, yes, indeed. He is also at 2,600 with his Under Armour Embiid ones. that he wore on March 1st in a win against the Indiana Pacers. I think a great budget play right now for anyone out there looking. This is at SixersYouthFoundation.org. Check out the sneaker auction. Assistant coach Sam Cassell, former player and NBA champion, now assistant to Doc Rivers, his Kyrie sixes, only $460. I think that is a great get-in price. They're signed. Great get-in price.
I'm with it, Seltz. Really cool to see. Shout out to Ryan Coletti and Trevor Gaffney on the sticks for showing us some of the sneakers that are in arena tonight. And Seltz, I know you got the inside scoop on what's a very exciting auction a couple days ago.
Yes, indeed. Maybe you are interested in a pair of Under Armour Embiid ones, or perhaps the answers from AI that he wore back in the day. Marjorie Harris heads up the Sixers Youth Foundation. She's, of course, the wife of managing partner Josh Harris, and we talked a little bit about the Sixers Youth Foundation auction.
So as you alluded to, there are some real excellent items on there. I'm a personal fan of the Furcon Cork Maz BB NXT. Is a very nice colorway on that sneaker. But there's also the throwback Converse from Dr. J, the questions from Allen Iverson. Do you have a personal favorite of yours?
I don't want to say which is my personal favorite, to be honest.
I like that. I think that's a good approach.
I don't have a favorite child. I don't have a favorite player. I have some that I might prefer, but I'm going to leave that open for everybody else to decide.
People might have to dive into the auction and find out.
Right. Maybe I'll actually buy one of these sneakers, and then you can see which one was my favorite.
Awesome. I can see it now. And all the fans are welcome back into the center. Marjorie Harris courtside in the size, whatever it is, Joel Embiid's.
Exactly.
We'll keep that between us.
Exactly. I just want to make one more point to you. This is definitely a team effort. And I want to say how proud I am of the players, the coaching staff, and the whole organization, but specifically the players, because they really made it easy for us. And you see out in the community, Joel, Ben, Tobias, giving back. And I can't tell you how much that means to Josh and I, that they are being role models for the community, showing the human touch of this, that they really care. And for every one of our players to just pick a sneaker, donate it to the auction, be happy about it and feel good is something that we should all really appreciate and admire. And I think that this is something about the Sixers organization in general. The whole organization, it's a culture of giving back. And I'm very proud of what the organization does every day. People donate their time. They think about the needs in the community. And that is cross up and down the organization. And that really is telling about who we are as an organization. And that comes out on the court, that comes out in the office. And I really feel lucky to be a part of that.
Well played. Marjorie Harris, thanks so much for your time. Best of luck with the auction.
Thank you. Remember to buy some sneakers.
One of the great events in the 76ers organizational calendar in years past has been the Sixers Youth Foundation Gala, whether it's been at the Fillmore or other locations throughout Philadelphia. And the coolest part about it is it always brings together fans with some of their heroes, talking about current players or past legends like Allen Iverson or Dr. J. They had the event at the Palestra one year. But it's really cool, Lauren, to see how this year, even though people can't be together physically in close proximity with one another, you can still have that signature connection that you would feel to a player, present or past, by bidding on some sneaks they wore in games. And they're also signed and autographed.
Yeah, I love this opportunity for Sixers fans, Seltz. This is some really cool memorabilia, especially if this team goes as far as they are planning to. How cool to have a pair of Sixers sneakers from the 2020-2021 season. Who knows how it's going to end, but I know that if it ends the way that we all hope it does, these sneakers will be something to cherish for a lifetime.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. For the 76ers opponent tonight, the New Orleans Pelicans, only 1.5 games out of the 10th spot in the West, which would get them in to the play-in tournament. But no Zion Williamson for the Pelicans tonight. He fractured one of his fingers. The organization is not happy. If you've been up on your scrolling, David Griffin, who heads up basketball operations for New Orleans, he is not disguising anything with his words, saying that the way that Zion is officiated is different than any big man in the league. So Zion's out indefinitely. That's a dent to New Orleans' postseason hopes. They're 30-36, and also no Brandon Ingram or Steven Adams in tonight's game.
Yeah, they're going to be pretty severely shorthanded. The first matchup between the Sixers and New Orleans, of course, Zion played so well, nearing a triple-double with those 37 points. He was very impressive. Would have been cool to see these two teams match up once again and see if the Sixers could contain him. Doc Rivers said the team spent the whole morning trying to figure out a way to slow down Zion Williamson. But of course, the task at hand does get a lot easier when a team is missing someone who is that good. But of course, best to Zion. Hope he's doing okay. You never want to see any player at all, let alone a player of that caliber, get injured and have to spend time away indefinitely.
He's fun. I really I did not enjoy watching him at the 76ers expense a few weeks ago, but listen, he is a fun, dynamic player who plays with flair and all that good stuff. So yeah, hopefully for him, it is a speedy recovery and won't be too much of a long-term setback. All right, it is time, Lauren. Listen, it spent me more time than I'd like to admit, but I did put my watch on the reverse way tonight, so people, if I could get it right, can actually see what the Tissot Chrono XL NBA Special Edition looked like. It took me about 3 minutes to figure out how to attach the watch the other way, but I did it. Said I've been doing what I was going to do.
Very impressive, Seltz. My Tissot PR100 does say that it's time for the keys to the game. Is that what you were going to tell us?
Indeed. Keys to the game tonight. Lauren will get us going.
I will. Seltz, my key to the game used to be about Zion Williamson. I made a late audible there and decided to go with you versus you, which is something that this team has talked about over the last few games. They're in the process of trying to beat themselves with an opponent this short-handed, with the Sixers' abilities on both ends of the floor. Tonight, a victory should be a relatively easy task if they compete up to their own standard and beat the Sixers team of last game. They should be in good shape if they win that battle, Sixers versus Sixers.
I would agree with that, and it's something that Doc Rivers has challenged the Sixers with recently. Just play against yourselves and try to be the best version of the team that you can be. Love that key. My key as well was Zion-oriented, so it's not anymore. I was going to say protect the paint because he scores so much in the paint, the leader in the NBA in that category. We're just going to go with track down Lonzo Ball. How about that? He's probably the top weapon or threat that the Pelicans have available tonight. Having a really good year, 14.5 points per game, nearly 6 assists, knocked down 8 3-pointers a couple games ago against Houston. So just keep your eyes focused on perhaps one of the few guys left on the Pelicans roster who could hurt you.
I'm with it, Seltz. Simple enough.
Indeed. All right, we thank Ryan Coletti, Trevor Gaffney, Tissot always, Marjorie Harris, Seth Curry for participating in tonight's program. And you, yes, there he is, the MVP, dare we say, front runner, Joel Embiid, getting ready for the 76ers, hoping to exact some revenge on the Pelicans in tonight's matchup. We talk about something, Lauren, that Joel talked about after the game on Wednesday in the latest Friday Deep Dive podcast. You, me, Devon Givens from 97.5, and it's that he came out and said after the game on Wednesday he feels like not enough people are talking about the fit of the 76ers roster this year being part of the team's success. I could not agree more.
I agree with you, Seltz. I agree with Joel. We heard from Seth about just that minutes ago. Really cool to see that this team has galvanized together in what is still, we talk about it a lot, a young team. Their first season together for much of the rotation, and they've really capitalized on the opportunities afforded to them by the rotation and by that fit.
76ers start the front end of a back-to-back at home before setting out on the road. It's New Orleans tonight and Detroit tomorrow. Enjoy tonight's game. We'll talk to you at around 6:45, let's say, tomorrow night for 8 o'clock tip. See you later.
Thanks.